love me like I love you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Better Than Food Book Reviews. I'm your host, Clifford Lee Sargent. Great to see you as always. Hope you're doing well. Get that coffee. I recently uploaded my first Patron-Only Monthly AMA video, which turned out to be an hour and a half long. That was a lot of fun, and I'll be gathering the questions for the October one soon, as well as the latest installment in the ongoing series of reviews covering Camille Paglia's sexual personae, covering her chapters on Oscar Wilde. Great stuff. If you want to check those out, link for the Patreon below. Thanks. Today is The Unbearable Lightness of Being by the Franco-Czech author Milan Kundera, published in 1984. This was a kind gift from my friend and viewer Armand. Thank you very much, I really appreciate it. Not knowing I already had a copy, my lovely wife also got me a copy for my birthday, so thanks very much to her as well. She's got great taste. This is an existential love story partially set during the Prague Spring of 1968 when the Soviet Union invaded Czechoslovakia to crack down on its recent political liberalization, which definitely must have fucking sucked. Kundera was personally impacted by the event. Later, after his books were banned, he went into exile and eventually emigrated to France. Be gone with that sunlight. Good God. The novel explores the connected lives of 5 characters. A man named Tomas, his wife Teresa, their dog Karenin, Thomas's lover Sabina, and Sabina's other lover, Franz. The story is told like an erotic wartime philosophical fable. Once upon a time, there was a handsome doctor who liked to sleep with many, many, many women. And though his wife loved him and he loved her, it made her very, very unhappy. But he just couldn't stop and things got complicated. He just kept coming home with his hair smelling like different women's Yeah, that was quite the detail, right? Can you imagine that? I mean, you really feel for Teresa in this story. I mean, she just puts up with quite a bit. There's womanizing and then there's like this guy. The book mainly focuses on the passionate but troubled relationship between Tomas and Teresa, set amidst the political turmoil, reflecting the complex internal turmoil of Teresa. I noticed throughout the book Kundera compares love and sex to war and combat. The anxious exhaustion from being in so tumultuous a state within a relationship is palpable. Teresa has fallen in love with Thomas and needs to get out, but can't. Wants to, but does not want to. It's both the first and last thing she needs. And it's the exact same way with Thomas, but for different reasons. This is why the novel's so interesting. What's most impressive about Kundera's novel is not the answers it gives you, but its wisdom within its acknowledgement that in the most important questions in life, there are no answers. Throughout the book, Kundera is always examining and questioning dichotomies. Fidelity and infidelity, love and betrayal, and what he identifies as the lightness and weight of being, asking which is preferable, a life of meaningful weight or weightless freedom. If ever there was an author who could have been said to see things from both sides, it's Kundera. The novel explores the paradoxes and contradictions in human relationships and life as a whole. For Kundera, life is given to multiple interpretations, and the truth lies in paradox and ambiguity, in the tension between 2 opposing answers, right? The book captures the tragedy about men and women and people in general not being able to entirely understand each other, but also the beauty within that mystery as well. It does the same thing for life, existence, being itself. This just is what it is. And also the brevity, right? The fleeting nature of life on Earth as a person trying to figure out what to do. And who. I think many people out there in this chaotic landscape are feeling totally lost, wondering where they should be placing their time, what they should be focusing on, and who they should be with. Many are facing difficult decisions and feel that they should know the answers. This book is a powerful reminder that absolutely nobody really knows what they want. In a moment with Tomas in the novel regarding life, Kundera writes, "We can never know what to want because, living only one life, we can neither compare it with our previous lives nor perfect it in our lives to come. Was it better to be with Teresa or to remain alone? There is no means of testing which decision is better because there is no basis for comparison. We live everything as it comes, without warning, like an actor going on cold." Very true. Kundera tells us that nobody really knows what they're doing. We're all making this up as we go along. So if you're feeling like that these days and it's giving you a lot of anxiety, remember, that's what life is. We're making it up as we go. This is why we gravitate to stories in history, because they're the closest thing to a basis of comparison with our own lives. But, to Kundera's point, even they fail us in all our individual circumstances. Life, in all its odd permutations, is an enigmatic circus. Although in the book, Kundera states that human life reflects the symmetricality of novels. I don't agree. Seems far messier. Life does not fit into the narrative framing of a novel in my experience. It just doesn't make any sense. Perhaps some resemble a novel, for sure, but certainly not all. Maybe an experimental novel, a surrealist novel, right? Oh, goddamn bug had to go and commit suicide in my coffee. Rest in peace. Actually, life is much more like Kundera's novel than others I've read, in its inconclusiveness, right? So, touché, I suppose. The story is told in a slightly nonlinear fashion, so we learn about the fate of the main characters far before the ending, which gives us this truly bittersweet reflection on the nature of life and time. The passage of time is a recurring motif in the novel. I'll admit that the popularity of this novel has always made me suspicious that it might be filled with crowd-pleasing, sentimental platitudes. There is some sentimentality which I wasn't moved by, but it's also steeped in ambiguity and strong, incisive, inquisitive thought. It's very intimate, observant, and emotional. I thought it was going to be kind of a fluffy novel, right? But no, there's actually some pretty transgressive stuff in there. It actually has some bite. I was impressed. I was like some parts I was like, damn, bro. Like, you went there. It's an interesting balance he strikes. It's kind of a feel-good philosophical novel with some tragedy to make it authentic. But then there's like some stuff in there that's really like, whoa, took some courage to write, you know? More on that in a bit. What's unusual about the book, given its relatively profound philosophical insights, is its accessibility. Kind of like Camus. Another thing that made me suspicious. And yet, it works. Through his examination of the characters' different points of view, Kundera evokes deep empathy for them. All of them. Even the dog, Karenin. Kundera's simplicity is reminiscent of the aphorisms of the Greek philosopher Heraclitus, whom he references in the book, along with Nietzsche, Parmenides, Descartes, Sophocles, and Beethoven. Kundera isn't giving us new philosophical theories he's constructed. Rather, he's taking ones that already exist and skillfully utilizing them in his romantic narrative to great effect. He's concise, wastes no time, doesn't digress unnecessarily, only enough to illustrate the perplexities of situations and the psychology of the characters. And like Heraclitus, there are no conclusions, only questions. It doesn't seem that Kundera is saying anything philosophically definitive other than, there are questions, there are answers, but there is no single answer to any of the questions, and that is the only truth that can be given. In the book, Kundera writes the following: "The novel is not the author's confession. It is an investigation of human life and the trap the world has become." That is a damn good line. Kundera seems to believe that stubborn convictions lead to totalitarianism, to the regimes that have such horrific consequences because they're so certain that they're in the right. Questions lead one closer to the truth, which is anything but certain. It's a timeless idea, right? Very relevant. Kundera narrates the story as if recalling the characters as people he's previously known. It's an interesting device and it works well, as though you're listening to a talking head in a documentary tell you the riveting tale of his friends' lives. He's reflecting on their history and life itself, breaking the fourth wall as he tells his tale. This separation allows for his uncertainty as to the entire meaning of certain things in the story, which plays into his theme of ambiguity. Because of this, there's a warm friendliness to the book, as if you're in a long conversation. It's an extremely pleasant read, not saccharine, but warm. A good one to read in winter, or the darker periods of your life. Mostly Kundera's behind the curtain until the last quarter of the book or so, yet you're always aware of him. He never really leaves you. He speaks with an authority that reminds me of McCarthy at his best. Confident, but not overbearing. It's this kind of quiet boldness that allows him to get away with the explicit anatomical descriptions as well, without seeming too provocative. Somehow Kundera makes it all seem natural. Kundera was partly inspired by the writings of Georges Bataille, which was a surprise for me, but you can definitely see this in a deeply serious question he presents in comedically blasphemous form. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. When Kundera reflects on whether or not God made man in his own image, and discusses a relationship between God and shit. Literally. Right. In the book, Kundera writes, "Shit is a more onerous problem than is evil. Since God gave man freedom, we can, if need be, accept the idea that he is not responsible for man's crimes. The responsibility for shit, however, rests entirely with him, the creator of man." He's got a point. This might have come from Bataille's theory of base materialism, which is composed of the unassimilable elements of life and death that break the chain of idealism, placing us back in the visceral realm of corporeal existence, in the body, right? The earth, the dirt, the shit, the low, right? The base materialism. That was a shockingly bold portion of the novel, I gotta admit. I was impressed how Kundera assimilated Bataille's theory of the unassimilable. I also thought Kundera's writing on what he calls kitsch was brilliant, very insightful. Overall, I think it's a great book to read right now in this ridiculously perplexing era, both politically and metaphysically. It's a tragic feel-good book, an extremely readable novel. High ROI for your time investment with this one. What Kundera is talking about is our desperate need to be with people and get the fuck away from them at the same time. His novel seems to say that the best that we can hope for is to find the person we want to weigh ourselves down with, so we don't have to experience the unbearable lightness of being. Better than food. 4 out of 5 coffees. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. So what did I dislike? Nothing. So who should read it? If you like Camus, Kafka, and Bataille, check it out. The situations with the secret police in the novel definitely remind one of Kafka, one of Kundera's inspirations. Yeah, overall I thought the novel was brilliant. And speaking of brilliant, if the unbearable lightness of being got you thinking about contradiction, structure, or the logic behind meaning, the sponsor of today's show, Brilliant, is a platform that encourages that kind of thinking. It's designed for people who learn best by solving problems. Instead of memorizing formulas or watching long lectures, Brilliant lets you engage directly with ideas. Their courses cover logic, math, data, science, and computer science, and they're built to help you understand how things work from the ground up. The logic course is a good place to start. It's visual, interactive, and walks you through reasoning step by step. It helps you practice the kind of thinking that's both rigorous and creative. Other courses, like visual algebra or how AI works, take abstract ideas and make them intuitive using clean visuals and real examples. You can try Brilliant for free at brilliant.org/betterthanfood. Or go ahead and scan this QR code, and the link is also in the description. Brilliant is offering 20% off an annual subscription for viewers of this channel, which gives you unlimited daily access to everything on their platform. And thanks very much to Brilliant for sponsoring the show. And I'll leave it there for today. The link for my Patreon is below if you'd like to get access to more reviews, or have a video call to discuss books. And if so, I'd be happy to meet you. And thank you very much to all my patrons for making the show possible. I really appreciate it. Always. Always remember, die reading. Alright. Good to see you. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Ciao.